Live.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. If it's 2:05 Eastern, it must be Ask the Agents. How is everybody doing today? My name is William Bowles. I'm a licensed associate real estate broker with the Corcoran Group in New York City. And I'm here with my cohort from Houston, Texas, Samuel Austin Hoffman, licensed real estate salesperson. And again, he's in Houston. And we have a special guest today, Daniel Milstein, all the way from Canada. Daniel, how are you today?
Great. Hope everyone's doing
Um,
well.
where are you in Canada, Daniel?
Toronto,
Toronto. Very nice.
big,
Very nice. I've
the big white north.
never been to Toronto, but hear wonderful things about it. We'll have to get up there someday. So awesome. We're glad that you're here. So while Sam is getting us up and running,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, no, absolutely. Sam's going to get us up and running on our timelines. And those of you that are just hopping on and joining us, feel free to engage. Let us know that you're there. Ask us questions. The show is called Ask the Agents, and we're live every Tuesday afternoon to take your questions and talk about real estate
Right
and
back.
have guests. And I don't know where Sam's going, but it's all good. So Daniel, since Sam stepped away and you and I've never met, tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been in real estate, all that kind of good stuff.
Been in
Sorry about
business
that. Okay.
almost
Hello.
10 years, 8 years.
8 years? Okay,
Um,
cool.
yeah, which is crazy, a long time. Um, and I mostly work in the city and exploring other options right now. But most of my
Ooh,
business is in the city.
exploring other options. What does that mean? Should we
Yeah,
dig
what does
deeper
Oh, a
on
that
lot
that,
of
or should
things.
we just let that go?
mean?
um, we'll leave it for now.
All right,
We'll leave it
fair
for
Okay.
enough.
now. But
Fair enough. We
but
just
most
met,
of my
so
business
so
is
I
in the
won't
city.
I won't dig too deep.
No, it's all good. Yeah, most of my business is in Toronto.
Okay, cool.
Lots of different type of clients, lots of different cool things going on all the time. So,
Awesome.
but
Awesome.
mostly in the city, um,
All right.
condo market mostly. Yeah.
So
As I say,
so
we're up and running. By the way, we're all good.
Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Before we dig too deep into a little bit more about Daniel and what's going on with Sam in Houston, we like to start off with a carryover question. And so we have a question, why would I list my home for sale in the fall real estate market? Daniel, I'm going to go over a few things, and I'd love to hear if it's the same thing up where you are. So one of them is sort of time frame. So what is the fall market? Prime time for the fall market. We're right in the thick of it right now in New York City. And that generally goes into around Thanksgiving time. So that's U.S. Thanksgiving, not Canadian Thanksgiving. So that generally is the third or fourth week in Thanksgiving. Thank you, Sam. And so, because people get really distracted by the holidays. So we're in the thick of the fall market. If you haven't already listed by now, you need to list relatively quickly. I always encourage people, unless there's a real reason to list in December, I prefer, I should say, to list in January homes for sale because people are distracted in December. That being said, deals happen in December, buyers are out in December. And when we're working with buyers, I tell people that November and December actually get out because point number two is less competition. So you have less competition as a buyer, but you also have less competition as a seller. So it can work to your advantage. Our inventory has been building in New York City all year long, and it's just a slow build. And so a lot of people will pull their homes off the market around the holidays because they don't want to have to worry about cleaning the place up, or they don't want, they're hosting friends and family from out of town or whatever. So you can actually get a little bit of ahead of the competition of people that are thinking of listing in the new year if you list this time of year. And then number three is listing period. So it basically says that coming to market at a time when it's a little bit quieter can serve you well. That's going to cure it because a typical listing agreement for 6 months leads to the city. Then that carries you into the beginning of the year market and you got a little bit of momentum hopefully taking you into the new year. So does that all make sense to you, Daniel? How's your fall market up there in Toronto?
It's definitely busy. The market's, one of the best times to sell your home, aside from the spring market. So, I kind of disagree with the whole, not selling in the winter. I think that the winter, I think that people should sell whenever is right for them. But I think that the winter months are actually a great time to sell, because I think that buyers that are going out and seeing properties during the winter are generally more motivated. You don't really want to go out looking at properties when it's disgusting outside. So if you are doing that and you're engaging in that, you're definitely more motivated, I would say. And people who are selling are most likely, and keep in mind, wintertime is definitely also a very emotional time for a lot of people. Holidays, lots of things going on. So generally a lot of agents say that listing a property in the winter is not the best idea, but I kind of disagree with that. So I think I'm totally for it.
Well, I think it's
But
too.
the fall market, to touch on what you were saying, the fall market is definitely a very busy time in Toronto. There's a lot going on. We can talk about the condo market or the housing market, whichever one you'd like to talk about. But there's the two markets are kind of going through different stages right now.
Right. So, total agreement with you that the serious buyers are out when there's snow on the ground and when it's cold and all of that. What we've actually found this year is that a lot of the looky-loos in New York City have been cut out of the market anyway. Open house turnouts are way down. Individual appointments and foot traffic is way down. So our market has sort of corrected a little bit and sort of cut those not as serious people out because they are whatever, they're sitting on the fence like so many other people right now. So, but I think you raise a really great point. If people are going to be in, you get more snowstorms than we do probably, but when there's a foot of snow on the ground and it's open house Sunday.
It's actually, I don't know. I think you guys get more snow than we do, actually.
Yeah. All right. So regardless, if there's a snowstorm and the buyers are out, those are.
I think that regardless, I think the point is that when it gets closer to that time of year, November, December, if you have a client who is looking to buy, I think that you should definitely take that person seriously, because that person is not going to engage in the services of a real estate agent. Especially during an inconvenient time when there's so many fun things going on, unless they were serious and good to go.
Well, I also like what you said is that people should buy and sell when they need to buy and sell, right? It shouldn't be driven by the calendar. Right. Sure. It shouldn't be driven by the calendar. It's driven by what's going on in their life, what's making them do that. Is it a new baby? Is it a marriage? Is it divorce? Is it trading up, which we're seeing an awful lot of trading up right now in New York City because the market is softer. So it's a little bit easier. Yeah, you're getting hit a little bit on the sell side, but you're making it up on the buy side. You don't have competition. And so it sounds like just in the little bit that you've sort of mentioned today about the market, it sounds like that your guys' market in Toronto is stronger than we are in New York City. Would you agree with that? Based on what you've heard about New York City?
From what you guys have told me, is it? I don't know. Is the market not as, is it more of a buyer's market in New York right now?
So yes, it's officially a buyer's market, has been for a while. We're seeing about 25% less transactions in 2018 versus 2017 and years prior. Okay. So our volume's down about 25% this year.
And how about the days on market? Are they longer?
They are definitely longer. Yeah, they're definitely longer. I don't have that data on my fingertips right now, but generally they're definitely longer.
It's the new normal now for it to be sitting on the market for.
Well,
so would you compare the New York market to the Miami market?
I believe that we are more on trend with the Miami market than your market right now, probably. My take on it is that we were one of the first markets in the U.S. to start softening about a year ago. There were several of them. I think Miami was a little bit behind us. Southern California, there were a couple that were sort of, that sort of the one we did. But and now it's turned into a national housing slowdown. Now there are absolutely exceptions. Texas, I think, is an exception right now. Parts of Florida is an exception if you carve out some of South Florida and some of the excess condo inventory.
I'm only asking because I'm in Miami right now. So
yeah, all right. So
I'm in Miami right now for a few days.
How do you categorize the Miami market? Do you know anything about the Miami market?
I do. I keep tabs on the Miami market pretty often. But let's talk about Toronto because a little more
more about you. I got it.
A little more to say about the Toronto market.
I'm good. We talk about ourselves, so this is good.
Uh-huh.
So Toronto, let me ask you a question. Toronto, I've been in Toronto, I think once or twice, but how do you, when you have a buyer, how do you normally take around buyers? Ubers, do you walk, do you cab?
No, I usually have my clients meet me at the property.
Meet you at the property, and then what if you have other properties to go to? Like, for us, like we'll set up.
They usually meet me. I mean, I think traditionally in real estate, it's common to obviously. You're asking about like the actual like logistics of the showing.
Well, I mean, like so for us, it's either we get a car, or we get an Uber, we walk, we take the subway. If we schedule
different because in New York City, right. From my experience, Toronto's a driving city. Toronto's like a LA meets Chicago kind of thing. I mean,
so a lot of people
very
drive.
spread out city. Yeah, and people don't really. I mean, let's be honest. Like people don't really want to, hang out with you for 4 hours. If you don't really have to. I mean, yes, I agree. Building rapport with clients is great during the showings and being in the car with them. But I think most people would prefer to meet at the property, have their own car, and then go to the properties, and then carry on with their day.
And do you personally do more houses or more apartments, like high-rise?
I would say 50-50, but I would say over the last few years, I would say more, predominantly more condos. So I'll just give you a little glimpse of the Toronto market. Toronto market's doing it's gone through a lot of changes over the last year. Most specifically with a foreign buyers tax, which was introduced in 2017. To slow down the market essentially because the market was very hot. It got to the point where it was an overheated market. And a lot of government was basically putting out the idea that the market is being controlled by foreign buyers and investors and that. I think most people would disagree that it wasn't predominantly that type of clientele that was leading the market, but the influx of foreign investment is still very important and was important, and the government decided to obviously kill this off because that's what they like to do, and it did slow down the market by about. I mean, there were reports that it went down like 30% in housing prices. The condo market, kind of actually interestingly enough, has been on the rise, and it still is, and it's continuously going up and up and up, mostly because you have a lot of downsizers. So the opposite of New York, where you're saying people are upsizing because the market's lower, okay, you have a lot of downsizers that are coming from big homes, the condos. The large condo market, the luxury condo market is very hot right now. It's doing very well. Smaller condos are doing well too, but I'd say there's more of them on the market. So keep in mind, the price per square foot right now in the city is offering around $1,000 a foot. I think New York is or maybe like what's the average? 1,400 a foot to 1,300 a foot.
No, well, for condos, it's higher than that. I actually just listed a condo. It's a resale. It's not even brand new, and granted, it's got good views, but we're about 2,000 a foot on that one.
Okay. Yeah.
which is high. I mean, that's at the higher range, but yeah, 1,000 a foot
What
would
would
be a
you
great
say is
deal.
the average in New York, in Manhattan, average per square foot?
17 or 18, 100 a
Okay.
foot, I would guess, because I don't have it in front of me. But just remember, most of our housing stock are co-ops. Co-ops do not quote square footage. So the per foot on that is it's going to be less than that, and it's not easy to quantify.
Right, right. So we're at about 1,000 a foot right now, which you know, there's speculation that it might come down, it might go up. We don't know. My personal opinion is that I still think that Toronto has a lot of growth in the future, going through a Manhattanization type of process in development over the last 10 years. So that $1,000 a foot, is that expensive? That's subjective. I mean, I don't know. That's very, you know, I think $1,000 a foot is expensive. Not really. If you're the largest city in Canada, the fourth largest in North America, no, I don't think so. Especially with what's coming in and all these, Google and this and Amazon and all these things coming in, and Toronto just like growing and growing. In terms of investment, is it a good city to invest in? Yes, and I would agree. I think it is a very good city to invest in. I think that's why you see a lot of foreign money coming to Toronto, and still is. And the foreign buyers tax, I mean, it did impact the housing market substantially, but it's rebounding right now. It's coming back up a little bit.
So what is the foreign buyers
it's a good
tax?
thing.
What is the foreign buyers tax? How much is it?
15%. Okay,
Wow.
for foreign buyers who are not residents, but there are exemptions. In Vancouver, when they introduced the foreign buyers tax, the tax completely killed the market. And the market in Vancouver is a mess right now. I don't know if you guys keep tabs on it, but it's a complete mess. And the luxury market is just completely basically, imagine like a tap of water running and like they just kind of turned it off basically. So Toronto's market is a little different, and there's still and now we're seeing it kind of rebounding a little bit with the house prices. They have come down, which in my opinion was not a bad thing. Because it got pretty crazy. 2017 was very crazy. April of 2017 was the peak of the market. So that was the high. And
we have a question that just came through from Dan Steinberg. Question is, how do we attract more Canadian buyers who want to own something in New York City?
Good question.
Should I repeat it? How do we attract
more Canadian buyers who want to own something in New York City? Well,
I think the first question is, why would they want to own something in New York City? For what purpose?
Fair. Like for work, you mean? For pleasure?
Let's assume
most people that I know that have moved to New York are renting. Haven't bought anything.
They're not buying.
If they're moving there for work, and obviously that's the reason to move, the company's taking care of the rent or whatever. They have an agent who's taking care of their move or relocation. But I don't know if people are just kind of picking up and moving to New York just for the heck of it.
Gotcha.
Well,
okay.
It is a pretty nice city. I'm just kidding.
I love New York. I was just there, but
yeah.
I think you got to have a purpose to be there.
I think I guess we're veering off a little bit from his question, and to your point is would it be for investment? Is it because of relocation? And I guess I'm assuming the intent of the question is, to me, the intent of the question might be investors. Why would someone
almost like a foreign buyer, like someone's investing?
Well, right, yeah, someone investing in the city and for the long term and to get the tenant in place and all of that, right? Because prices have tipped down a little bit. Our prices got so out of whack where the return on investment just didn't make sense for quite some time.
Well, it's getting to the opposite now with Toronto. It's slowly getting there. It's not there yet. It's getting there. It's going up. The prices keep going up. So, a very straightforward kind of, buy and hold rental condo is getting a little expensive for investors now, I would say, especially with pre-construction.
Right. What do you get for $1 million?
Pre-construction in Toronto right now, keep in mind, resale market is like 900 to 1,000 a foot, and pre-construction sales are starting from like 1,200, 1,100, 1,200 a foot. So like,
right.
I mean,
right.
And that's an estimated projection in like 4 years from now, and who knows when it's going to be ready, and yada yada yada.
So I'm curious, and I guess we got to keep an eye on time, but I'm curious. So this 15% tax was implemented. It put the market to a screeching halt, and then it seems to have come back quite a bit.
It wasn't a screeching halt. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like Vancouver, but it was definitely impacted the market substantially. So you have the foreign buyers tax, okay, and you had an interest rate hike, and you also had obviously the sellers who were planning on selling, right? Who were planning on putting up their homes on the market, regardless of market conditions. So those three things, so fall of 2017 was a very interesting time because you went from, let's say we'll use this as an example. We use a $2 million house. That was a $2 million house in April, which was now a $1.5 million house in the fall.
Yeah, that's jarring for people.
Okay, so for sellers, so a year later, so now finally the dust is settled. Now we can see the real market effect and where the market has kind of has gone, right? So where it is today. And today it's in a more of a normal market, as in normal days on market, normal progression of transactions.
And I think that's the way.
It's not about.
No, it is a good thing, and I think that's how a lot of people are describing the New York City market this year. Is it's more normal. Things are taking long to sell. Buyers have a say. Things are not selling in an open house after a weekend, although there are always exceptions.
What's your average days on market right now? What would you say?
I wish you're giving me great stat questions.
But in general,
I don't have any down in front of me. I would say it's probably about 45 days before we find the buyer, because we have a longer sales cycle because of all the approvals and stuff. So yeah, it's probably about 45 days of active marketing, give or take. And I would say that's up from 20 something. And again, this is just my personal opinion because I don't have these numbers in front of me.
Okay. So it's about 2 months, 60 days.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And we right now there's more. With the transaction levels down the way they are and the inventory going up, sellers, what you just described with like the dust settle and sellers sort of understanding the new market, there's more of that happening now. So the new things that are coming on are priced more appropriately.
Well, keep in mind that once all those properties dry up, right, all that inventory gets absorbed. Okay, then the market will begin to start changing again.
Right.
Is there still a lot of pre-construction going on in Manhattan?
Less, although we have a lot that's built and they're still trying to sell. So it's a combination of some pre-construction and very recent construction. So there's an awful lot of negotiating going on in those brand new buildings. However, the land is so expensive, the labor was so expensive to build them, they can only go down, they can only negotiate so much, right? Or it's just not going to make sense. So we have a lot of that thing right now.
So basically what happened in Toronto was 5 years ago, we had a lot of cranes up. We had the most, I think there was a statistic, I don't remember what the stat was, but it was like, I think there were more cranes up in Toronto than every North American city or something like that. Like, it was crazy. We had like 147 up at the same time. Like, lots of new construction, lots of new development. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, this Manhattanization of Toronto is currently still happening. New, beautiful towers going up, lots of pre-construction, lots of things. But it's getting more expensive now. It's expensive, but it's not that expensive. So how far is it going to go? We don't know. Again, Toronto is not New York. Toronto is not Los Angeles. It can withstand an appreciation, but to what extent? So, I mean, I know, like, from just speaking to people in Miami, for example, the Miami market is completely just even like, even more soft. Like, it's just a completely soft market in terms of condos. And we had that when all those developments were finished, we had that happen in Toronto, where there was just so much inventory. The rental market was completely open. Buying and selling was not an issue, right? But once all that inventory got absorbed, okay, now we're seeing crazy prices on rentals. Now the average rental in Toronto is about $2,000 for one bedroom, 2,000 average in the city, not even in like downtown, just like in the greater Toronto area.
I think you froze.
Oh, well,
Oh, there you are. We can hear you. All right. Now we can.
Me oh,
It's
I think
actually,
my bad.
no, it's okay. You know what? It's actually, it's about 2:30 anyway. Hopefully you're going to come back and we see your face again. If he hops back on, he's probably going to hop back on. Sam, what's going on with you while we wait for Daniel to come back? What's happening in Houston?
Not much. It's been actually, it's cooler here than it is in New York right now, which is, a rarity.
That's funny.
It's in the mid 50s here, and yeah, I know we started this new segment last weekend where we talk about three things.
Three things you learned.
I'm sorry.
I'm waiting for three things you learned.
So I got back from Mexico City late Sunday night. A lot about, I've never been to Mexico City. I've been to Mexico, never been to Mexico City. Learned a lot. Let's see. The traffic in New York is nothing. Try 22 million people in one city in Mexico City. Traffic it took us to get, I think it was like 8 or 9 miles. It took over an hour and 25 minutes, hour and a half. It was insane, the traffic. Churros, if you've ever had one, they're amazing. But if you ever had one in Mexico City, you can't have one. You got to have like a dozen.
Do they sort of taste like donuts? Do they sort of taste like donuts a little bit?
My dear, wait, William, you've never had a churro?
No, I haven't.
What? Okay, so yeah, I don't know,
it's like dough, fried dough, sugar, something.
It's fried dough. They make it. I have videos I'll send you, but fried
I see them
dough.
in the
Here, wait,
Subway.
I pull one. What Subway? No.
No, there are women at the 59th and Lexington.
Yeah, okay. That's like blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait,
and
hold on.
And now someone's calling you. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. So here, let me show you what they really. Here we go. How do I share this? So this is a churro.
Right, so while you're sharing, so far, number one, what you learned is how bad traffic is in Mexico City. Number two, you learned is how much you love churros. There they are. Churros Mexicanos.
They come with like dippy sauce, but Mexico City is where they originated, and they are just amazing. What else did I learn?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Wait, I'm like frozen. Millie, are you back?
He's trying to come back.
Hold on, I'm just. Can you hear me?
Agent Milstein?
Can you hear me?
All right, Sam. Let's keep rolling. It's 2:33. What's number three that you learned?
Yeah. So, and then the last thing I learned. Oh my God, my head just popped. I had a. There's one more thing that I really thought was interesting. Oh, yes. So I've been to different countries around the world, and I've actually been to India and China. And what I found was the weirdest thing to me is Mexico City. Very few people speak English, and when you go, and it's so close to the United States, you would think that more people spoke the language, especially considering how much goes on between Mexico and the U.S. When you go, for instance, when I went to India and China, more people speak English than in Mexico City. Mexico City, I feel the hardest thing, and I know some Spanish. I can get by because I am from Texas, but I feel like the hardest thing was the dialect. I mean, the translation. So few people spoke English, and I mean at all. So it was very difficult in certain ways.
The third
so those are three things I learned. I also learned that Day of the Dead, which is Dia de los Muertos, is not on October 31st, which I thought it was. It's on November 2nd.
Second, yeah.
And I'm dying to go back there for that because I'm totally into that.
I know it's a big for that. It's a big thing down south. And now Sam's frozen.
Actually,
Hey,
funny enough,
Yep.
I have a charity gala I'm going to on Saturday night that is Day of the Dead themed, and I will be painting my face. So will
Well,
my
I'm
wife.
sure. So stay tuned to Sam's social media for that. So
And in
we ran
other
out-
last news, I will
Yep.
say that I know UT had the
You hear me?
weekend off. Yes, you're back.
Yes, we're wrapping up, Daniel. But so wait, UT had a bye week.
Had a weekend off. I know
they're
you're excited for them to
They're
play
still
this.
ranked top 10 because they didn't play last week. So
The
that's
Texans won their 4th game in a row, and sadly, my Houston
Congratulations.
Astros lost to the Red
Congratulations.
Sox. I will not be watching the World Series and
I'm
boycotting
sorry,
that.
Sam. My
It's all
condolences.
good. Anyways,
So
Millie.
Daniel, tell people tell us how people get in touch with you if you're in Toronto.
We'll just put up a banner on your website. Called
Perfect.
Daniel.
right across our face. Perfect.
Right.
I'll put up a banner right now of how you get what. So what? Do you have an email address or a phone number you want me to write down?
Yeah, I can send it to you, and you can.
Write it all down on there.
Well,
Sure.
I'm on the Daniel Milstein Toronto Luxury Real Estate Facebook page, and there's contact
great.
information on there. So
So
and
if you
looks
guys
like
have,
yeah.
if you guys have clients who are looking to invest in the Canadian market, we pay very good referral fees. So
That's awesome. We love
We
it.
pay top dollar. We pay top dollar. Yeah.
We love it.
I will
That's
send you all the
perfect.
Justin Biebers I know.
That's perfect. And the next time you're in New York,
That's right.
give me a shot. We need to have a coffee or something.
100%. And you guys should actually, if you want to do some interesting, maybe for your clients, just for fun, you can show them Drake's house that he's building in Toronto, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, that's cool.
Drake's house.
That's right up your
It
alley.
is.
I don't even know if William knows who Drake is.
I've heard of him, but that's right up.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
I will definitely be sharing
Let's
that
wrap
with
it
my
up.
clients.
It's 2:37.
Yes, we must get going. Stay tuned. Keep following, liking, loving everything we do. More special guests to come.
Thank you, Daniel.
Next Tuesday will be Halloween Eve, so I will be in costume probably. And Milstein, it has been an honor to have you on our show. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
adding your
much.
Toronto input. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Au revoir.